as you can tell by the cobra and the tiger and the monkey in the background, well, you know, Chimchar, you may have guessed that this video is going to be about Aladdin. Let me put my cobra, little wooden cobra, had this for a long time. This over here with these, here we go. Can't really see it, but that's okay. So today we are going to be talking about Aladdin, which came out in 1992, which the movie is the same age as me. So, you know, that's kind of fun. The movie is coming up on this year it'll be 29 years old, next year it'll be, 30. Just, little fun Disney history. So we have the Aladdin book, and I actually have this, Aladdin and Other Tales from the, 1001 Arabian Nights type of thing. Which, that's where the origin of Aladdin came from, is, the 1001 Arabian Tales. Which, is a compiled list of tales from, the Middle East era and that type, Middle East area for, around, I don't remember the exact dates, but, in the, before, BC era and such like that. Well, BC into AD era, where there was lots of stories about genies and sorcerers and, thieves and, the caves of wonders and different things like that. And, that's basically where the idea for Aladdin came from, is, this, boy that goes on an adventure and ends up marrying the princess, which is fun. So the beginning of the movie is told, we're introduced to this, street peddler, who later is, I think, references around to, of course, the peddler ends up being Genie because he has the lamp and he knows the story of Aladdin and all this other stuff. So we kind of get that, twist around the end there. So I think it's supposed to be the Genie turns into this peddler, and then he goes about telling the different stories of Aladdin and 1001 Arabian Nights, which is cute in my opinion. Gives Genie something to do since, he got freed, and then he's kind of, still immortal because he's still a genie. Well, he's immortal until his lamp gets destroyed, but the lamp is technically not connected to him anymore, so there's a question there with that, but I'm not 100% sure on that, how what Genie's longevity has been now that it's no longer semi-phenomenal, cosmic power. It's, now it's semi-phenomenal, nearly cosmic. That's a joke for the Aladdin 2 Return of Jafar, which I will be talking about. We'll see if this ends up being just a full one video where I talk about the original, the sequel, the Aladdin and the King of Thieves, where him and Jasmine get married, the animated series. And then, of course, there's the Kingdom Hearts stuff. There's House of Mouse. There's a little bit of Sophia the First. There's Wreck-It Ralph. There's the Once Upon a Time stuff. And then there's the 2019 live-action remake that they did with Will Smith and such. So I will be talking about all of that, but first let's get to the original. As I said, it came out in 1992. And we're introduced to the street peddler, and he, tries to sell us on some funny wares, which, okay, so behind the scenes thing at the moment, this was basically a result of, they gave Robin Williams a box full of different random things, because of course, he was an improv comedian, and Robin Williams. He's an improv comedian, so he would just come up with so many different funny things for all these different objects that he pulled out of the box, and then they just recorded him, and then they used the, some of the best ones for the, for him to use as the salesperson, as the street peddler. But he, then he pulls out the lamp, and, he claims that it once changed the course of a young man's life. A young man who, like this lamp, was more than what he seemed. A diamond in the rough. So yeah, and then of course the street peddler goes into the tale of talking about Jafar and meeting this little thief guy that, they get the golden scarab, and it leads him to the Cave of Wonders, and the little thief guy goes into the Cave of Wonders, and he dies because he's not the right person that's supposed to enter the cave. The cave wants, the diamond in the rough. So Jafar is like, okay, I gotta find this diamond in the rough. Then we're, of course, introduced to Aladdin as he runs around the streets of Agrabah. And, he has his friend Abu, and, he steals things to eat, and, we see him running from the guards. We see that most of the people in the town don't seem to like him. Some of them do, some of them don't. I'm pretty sure most of the salespeople don't like Aladdin. And so they're running around, and we get the one jump song, one jump ahead. So it's him talking about he has to be one jump ahead of the guards and everything else. So we get a little bit of Aladdin's character in that, and he escapes the guards. He had stole bread, and he escapes the guards, and we get this proves that he has a good heart, because we see him and Abu getting try to start eating the bread, and then he sees these two homeless kids that are probably something that he went through when he was a kid, is being homeless and starving. And Abu and him, well, first it's just Aladdin that gives them the bread, and then Abu gives them the bread, which it's just like, yeah, no, he's a good guy. They have to show that he's a good guy, and that proves it there. It's like he just stole all this, stole the bread and run around, so he's give this to the kid. Give these to the kids so they're not hungry. I can steal something else. Then there's this procession going to the palace that we see, and there's this very arrogant prince that's there. Razul, I think is his name. Aladdin gets in his way, and he, you're a worthless street rat. You're born a street rat. You'll die a street rat, and only your fleas will mourn you, type thing. Which it does not appear that too many people in the city seem to think that differently of Aladdin. The guards don't like him because he steals. Most of the shopkeepers don't like him because he steals. Some people are okay with him, but that's probably because maybe they knew his mother, or they've watched him grow up and they know that he's not all bad, but they still kind of look out for him, but there's not too many of those. And Aladdin and Abu go off, and then we're introduced to the Sultan, and then we are introduced to Jasmine and Raja, giant stuffed tiger. And, basically the thing of, Aladdin, or Jasmine. Jasmine it's supposed to be, she has to pick a suitor for her to wed, because, by her next birthday, she has to pick a suitor for her to wed by her next birthday, which is supposed to be just like a few days from then, which kind of plays into the story, kind of doesn't, but she has to pick one. And so she's had so many princes probably come, and like none of them interest her. Raja scares all of them away by attacking them, so good kitty. Probably doesn't attack them until like Jasmine like kind of shows like, yeah, no, I don't like this person, make them go away. Jasmine dreams of seeing what it's like outside of the palace walls. She, makes a comment, what if I don't want to be a princess anymore? And, so her and her father are arguing about that and everything. They go off, and then, of course, it's revealed that, Jafar works for the king. He's the royal vizier. And it's revealed that he has this, staff, snake staff, that he can use to hypnotize the Sultan for the duration of the magic depends on how long he's gonna how much power I'm assuming he's putting into it, or how big the request is, because it is shown at times that the Sultan has a little bit of the ability to fight back against the power, so that's kind of nice. But he's still unfortunately very manipulated by Jafar, who wants this blue diamond ring that the king has that he can use to try to find the diamond in the rough. And then we cut back to Aladdin, who is, on his way back to where he lives in like this rundown house. And, we get the reprise of One Jump, where it's, him talking about, him kind of rephrasing the fact of, yeah, I'm a street rat, but, I can be more type of a thing. That is kind of one of the things that this movie is, that a lot of Disney movies try to point out, but this one kind of does a very good job at it. Of, you're not always going to be put into this specific slot. Someone's going to put you here at some point in time, but sometimes you have to prove that you're more than that. Aladdin wants to prove that he can be more than just this street rat thief, that he can do so much more than that. And Jasmine wants to show that she can do so much more than just being a princess, which, yeah, by the end of this, by the end of the first movie, it is, we know that they end up together, of course. Otherwise, why are you watching this if you haven't watched any of the other Aladdin stuff? Go watch that first, then come back and listen to me, and you can critique how I critique the movie, or, like the movie, or whatever the case may be. Jasmine is still, a princess by the end of the movie, but she has more confidence in herself, which is good. Throughout the other movies and the TV series, we get a lot more of Jasmine being able to prove herself, because at various points in time throughout the TV series, she does end up saving Aladdin from different things. From spells that get put on him, from other, bad, sorcerers or whatever that try to kill him. She's kind of the one that saves him at times, but he also saves her. There's always going to be, sometimes the damsel does end up being in distress, but sometimes it's the guy that's in distress and the damsel saves him. So, that works too. They start bringing that in more. Not that the princesses can't save themselves in certain cases, but sometimes having help is nice. Or, sometimes you are just backed into a corner. That happens too. But, Aladdin and Abu, they can look off and they can see the palace from their window. And then we cut to the next morning. Well, that night we cut back to the palace, where Jasmine is climbing over the wall so she can escape, and ends up, escaping into Agrabah after she says goodbye to Raja, who's her only friend type of thing, because apparently she doesn't have any other friends. I don't know protocol in the Middle East in that time frame for how much, how friendly princesses were with their, handmaids. That gets shown a little bit more in the live action one, of course, but, I don't know too much about that in regards to the actual time frame, but, Jasmine makes her way into the city and everything, and she's, roaming around. And we have Abu and Aladdin, they steal like this melon, they're eating, and then Aladdin sees Jasmine, because she's, walking through the market, and, there are all people trying to sell her things. And she ends up, seeing this little kid who's hungry, and she, picks up an apple and gives it to him. And the vendor is kind of along the lines of, yeah, no, that's not happening. You better have a way of paying for that. But, he's about ready to chop her hand off, and Aladdin shows up and saves her, and basically claims, no, thank you for finding my sister. She got a little confused. I'm sorry. It was like she said she knew the Sultan, and like Jasmine, or Aladdin whispers to Jasmine, play along. And, so we get the whole thing of, she instantly kind of falls into step of, play along with the act or whatever, and, pretends the monkey is the Sultan. And I love this, like, because it had to be something that, like, Jasmine just decides to do on her own. It wasn't necessarily something that, Aladdin told her to do. Because he's like, come on, sis, let's go see the doctor, as he's, trying to take her away after he kind of, smooths it over with the seller. And, there's this camel there, and Jasmine just kind of looks at it and gives it this look of, hello, doctor, how are you? And I'm just like, did that without really any prompting from Aladdin. So she worked her way into that rather well, which I like. And of course, then they have to escape the guards and whatever. And, they're climbing up the building to get to where Aladdin and Abu live. And, we cut to Jafar and Iago. I can't believe I haven't mentioned Iago, his very loudmouth bird, parrot. and they're, using the diamond to, look and find who the, diamond in the rough is, and it shows them Aladdin. And, and Aladdin and Jasmine get to where Aladdin and Abu live, and, Jasmine's proving that she's a fast learner. And then, they're talking, and she explains, I ran away from an arranged marriage. I'm trying to go off and do my own thing, type of a thing. And, Aladdin's okay with that. And, like, she sees the view that he has of the palace. And, he wants to go and live in the palace, all the food you can eat, nice clothes, nice place to sleep, all this other stuff. Whereas Jasmine ran away from that life because she didn't have any freedom. And we get the cute bit of, Aladdin and her talking, and they start finishing each other's sentences a little bit. And Abu is kind of, he doesn't like that there's this Jasmine there because she's going to eat food and all that kind of stuff. And then the guards show up, and Aladdin kind of gets arrested. After, even with Jasmine revealing that she's Jasmine, that she's the princess, Aladdin unfortunately does get arrested. He gets dragged off, which is not good. And, yeah, that's not good there. He gets dragged off, and, the head guard, don't remember what his name is, don't really care, don't remember what the head guard is, who the head guard is, what his name is, I don't remember. But, he's like, well, Jafar, Jafar told us to get him, so, take it up, Jafar. Sorry, princess. He doesn't really have a whole lot of respect for Jasmine, unfortunately. But, Aladdin's thrown in jail, and Jasmine goes and finds Jafar, and kind of, tries to chew him out a little bit, and we get more funny stuff with the parrot and being trapped in the door, which is just funny. And Jafar tells her that, oh, well, he's been executed already. And she goes off and, basically does the whole, I don't remember if that's when she says it or what, but it's, it's like, when I'm queen, then, you will no longer be royal vizier type of thing. And she goes off, and then we see Aladdin down in the dungeon. And Abu sneaks in there and, lock picks, him out of there. And then there's this old guy in the dungeon. Because, Aladdin's lamenting the fact that, well, she's a princess. She can't marry me anyway because, I'm not a prince. Then there's this, really old guy down in the dungeon. He seems to be a bit crippled. And he's like, well, you want to get your princess, I know a way to get to this, cave of wonders where there's more riches than you'll ever need, and, and you can, just buy, marry your princess, and blah, 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 blah. He's like, well, why are you telling us this? Because I need someone who's, with good legs and a good back, and, better, younger than I am, type thing. And they go, and Aladdin agrees to go with the guy, the guy is Jafar in disguise, of course. And they make their way to the Cave of Wonders, and Aladdin goes into the Cave of Wonders, and the cave warns them of touch nothing but the lamp, because I think it's supposed to be like a test, because if you can make it all the way through the cave without touching anything and get the lamp and get out, then you're kind of, I guess, worthy of the lamp, is I guess where that falls. But, so you make your way through the, Aladdin and Abu make their way through the cave, and they, of course, end up running into the magic carpet, who is so cute, and is just, pantomime character, because, there's not enough of those in, kids' cartoon, movies these days. But, it is, it's a good way, the carpet can express itself with, how it moves, and, it's a rug, but, it's fun to do. And, I'll just mention this here now. The rug itself, so the animator that did the rug, obviously he didn't like draw the rug every single time, because that's a lot of detail to have to make sure that it matches up every single time when the rug is moving and flying and everything. So the rug itself, the pattern on it and everything is actually computer done. It's actually, done via, CGI. But what he did was he did like the outline of the rug and the tassels, so that way, he can define the dimensions of how the rug moves. And then they would go in with the computer, and then the computer would fill in, the design on the rug for how, so that way as it moves, the rug would then, the pattern would stay the same and in the right place that it's supposed to be as the rug moved, but they had it defined within the lines of, what the animator drew. Which I'm like, hey, at least you don't have to keep redrawing everything on the inside of the rug every single time. That's helpful. And then, of course, the tassels are very useful for it, because the tassels act like its hands and such, because, it can pick things up with them. It can, dust things off. It can, poke Abu, which is fun. So we get that fun bit with the carpet. And, it's a character that's, very useful. It's a character that's transportation, but it's still kind of entertaining. So that's good there. And, the carpet goes with them, and then it leads them to where the lamp is. I would assume the fact that the cave is aware of the fact that the carpet is sentient, obviously, because it does seem to be able to feel pain to a degree at various points, but it also has a personality. Let's give interior design a personality. Yeah. But it's like, okay, well, I'm assuming that the cave can understand the fact, okay, the carpet is like an exception to the rule of touch nothing, because, I think both Aladdin and Abu touched the carpet at some point during that time when they're walking around with it, when it's leading them. And the cave doesn't seem to care about that. So, loophole in the fact of the rug is sentient and it decides it wants to go with you type thing. So there's a, loophole there. But the, carpet leads them to the lamp, and Aladdin, climbs up this, staircase up this hill thing to get to the lamp. And unfortunately, Abu sees this giant freaking ruby that it wants to go and touch, because we know that Abu seems to be very interested in shiny things, shiny and treasure and things like that, because he likes to pickpocket and was, almost touched a bunch of stuff that was in the cave when they first got down there and everything. And, at the same point in time that, Aladdin grabs the lamp, we get Abu, grabbing the giant ruby, and that sets off the cave. And the cave, everything, stuff starts to melt, lava starts to appear, the cave starts to collapse. Carpet rescues Aladdin, and then they rescue Abu, and then they do the whole chase sequence through the lava and the columns as they try to escape the cave. It's hinted that the rug's been down here for a very long time, that the magic carpet has been down here for a very long time as well, and has probably gotten bored at various instances, so it's probably explored the cave. I would assume that since the rug can't really leave the cave anyway, that it's going to be, it's going to have the ability to, like, touch other things in the cave, I would assume. But, it escapes, and that sequence where they're, flying through the pillars and all the lava and everything is done by the computer. They had been influenced by the dancing sequence in Beauty and the Beast. They're like, well, how can we, get a sequence in this one that would work for that type of a thing as well, to, like, innovate and everything. So it's like, well, we got this whole bit where they're trying to escape through the cave. How about we do that? Which I think is fine. That works too. I'll go over the Kingdom Hearts stuff when I get to that. But one of the things that you do in Kingdom Hearts is, you have to go into the Cave of Wonders when you're in the Agrabah area, and you do end up, one of the things is you fight your way through, you fly your way out of the cave. Is one of the tasks that you have to do for the story point in the cave. So that's fun. But, Aladdin and Abu and the carpet get up to the top. Well, carpet kind of gets trapped, and Aladdin and Abu are up at the top of the cave, at the mouth of the cave, while everything's still collapsing. And Jafar, the old cripple guy, is it's like, give me the lamp and I'll pull you out. And they, they give him the lamp, and then he, is about ready to stab Aladdin, and Abu bites Jafar's wrist, so he can't do that. And we don't notice it, but we know that Abu steals the lamp because Aladdin has the lamp when they land in the cave, and Carpet catches the two of them so they don't die. And the cave closes and traps them in there. And Jafar is, first he's very happy, and then he realizes that the lamp's gone. So he's now upset again. So he's like, okay, I gotta find another way of getting myself to the throne. Frick. So he's like off to go and do that. And then we have Aladdin wake up in the cave, and he sees that Abu and the Carpet are fine, and then Abu shows that he got the lamp, that he stole the lamp from the old guy. And of course that results in Aladdin rubbing the lamp, and we are introduced to Genie. Gotta love Genie. Genie's awesome. We're introduced to Genie, and Aladdin. I don't blame Aladdin at all. I'm thinking I must have hit my head harder than I thought. But we get Genie doing the whole, the friend like me sequence, which is, kind of demonstrating what he can do and everything. You all this food, you want everything else here, you want to be this, you want to be that, you want to be this, you want these things. I can do all that for you just fine. And then, of course, he explains to Aladdin, you get 3 wishes, but I got rules. Can't kill anybody. Can't make anybody fall in love with you. And I can't bring anybody back from the dead. So, I can understand where those come from. Rules. When they had originally been working on Aladdin for Disney, there had been kind of an unlimited number of wishes type thing. But they're like, no, let's stick to the rule of 3. For this, there's 3 things that he can't do, and you get 3 wishes. Otherwise, it's just, wish after wish after wish after wish. And it doesn't really make Aladdin have to consider how to use his wishes wisely. So, but we get Aladdin and Abu trick Genie into getting them out of the cave, so that way they don't have to waste their wish. And Genie gets them and the Carpet out of the cave, and I love all the different things that Genie goes into for all the different impressions and everything, because it's just Robin Williams having so much fun, which is so good. Robin Williams. But so Genie gets them out of the cave, and they land this little oasis thing, and there's Aladdin points out that, well, no, I didn't actually wish for you to get me out of the cave. And Genie's like, clever. Don't try it again. And, so Aladdin's, just trying to think about what he wants for his wishes. And we get the whole bit where he talks about Jasmine and how awesome and wonderful she is and everything. And she's great, and she's beautiful, and she's smart, and she's funny. And I'm like, you knew her for 20 minutes, but okay. Disney and love at first sight. I do like later on in some of the movies how they kind of don't necessarily always go for the love at first sight thing, whereas where the couple kind of has to more get to know each other before it results in them being in love type of thing. In some cases, it's hate at first sight, because Tiana and Naveen do not get along, and then same thing with Rapunzel and Flynn have a problem, and then Mulan and Shang there's a different thing going on there, but then of course we have Anna and Kristoff. They don't really get along necessarily right off the bat. So, there's not always going to be the whole, they're going to get along right away and have the love at first sight type of thing. So, I like when Disney plays with that a little bit more than the other ones. Some of them, it's like, okay, we got to get into the meat and potatoes of the story. So, we got to get this going and this going and this going. But we do kind of they have a connection a little bit first. So, I'm okay with those. Um, but then we have, Aladdin's like, well, Genie's like, well, I can't make her fall in love with you. And he's like, well, what would you wish for? And that's, of course, we get the Genie saying, well, I mean, to be free, to be my own master, to not have to, what do you need? What do you need? What do you need? Every minute of every day for whoever is the holder of the lamp. And that's when, Genie and Aladdin make the deal of, I'll use my first 2 wishes, and then I'll use my 3rd wish to set you free. And Genie's like, okay, I'll hold you to that. And Aladdin then makes a wish of, Genie, make me a prince. I wish for you to make me a prince. And, we get them having fun with that, and then we cut back to, we get 2 scenes with Jasmine and her father. We get the first one where Jasmine is saying, blah, 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 this boy, he saved me in the marketplace, and he helped me, but then Jafar had him killed and everything. And then, of course, we have, Sultan kind of comforting her there, and then we have, which happens, like, before Jasmine, or Aladdin actually wakes up in the cave and gets introduced to Genie, but then we have, again, where we're at Agrabah, where Jasmine, or Sultan and Jasmine Sultan kind of makes Jasmine and Jafar kind of make up, which I'm like, the guy has sleazeball written all over him, so no. But then we have it, Jafar is like, oh, well, we have Iago make the, well, what if you were the chump husband? What if you're the one that marries her? Then you can become Sultan. And that's where, that's where Jafar goes to try to find a law that says, if the princess is not married by blah, blah, blah birthday, then she has to marry the Sultan. Or she has to marry the, not the Sultan, that's wrong. No, she has to marry the Grand Vizier. And then, of course, Jafar tries to get the king to do this by hypnotizing him, but the king kind of fights back and is like, but you're so old. It's like, well, he's kind of younger than you, but okay. I do like the line that at some point, the Sultan's like, your mother wasn't nearly as picky when it came to, like, Jasmine's mother. Your mother wasn't nearly this picky. I'm like, I don't know if that means that you were, like, the first person she met and she married you, or if she had went through a couple of suitors and then ended up on you. So, just, like, we don't get any other backstory for, like, Jasmine's mother for that. Another one where we don't get a backstory for the mother. I don't think we ever get a backstory for Jasmine's mother in the animated stuff. I don't think so. I mean, maybe they mentioned something in a book, but I don't remember there being anything in the... There's nothing in the 2nd or the 3rd movie, and I don't think there was anything in the animated series, unless I'm missing something. But, like Belle, I mean, we find out a little bit about Belle's mother in the live-action one, and I think we find out a little bit about Jasmine's mother in the live-action stuff, but not really too much else beyond that for Jasmine's mother. But she's like, Jasmine definitely would not want to marry Jafar. We know this. But that's when, all the music starts up, and then, of course, we get the arrival of Prince Ali Ababwa. Or as Jafar calls him, Prince Abu, which is just funny. But, you get the whole entrance of him, and, Abu is an elephant, and, Aladdin passing out gold to, everyone, and, all the flamingos and peacocks and camels and llamas and, like, the dancers and the birds and monkeys and everything like that Genie made for Aladdin to have in this procession of him going into Agrabah to impress everyone and make it appear that he is a real prince. I'm like, none of the other princes showed up this way, but okay. But we go to that, and we get some other references and everything, like Genie commenting on them like they're the balloons in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, which is funny. The balloons and the floats in the Thanksgiving Day Parade, I just find that so funny. And I like the bit where it's like, at one point, like, Iago's like dancing, and then Jafar just like glares at him, and he's just like, I can't stop. And, Jafar tries to keep them from getting into the palace, but they still get into the palace. And, Jasmine's watching this, Dudley, showing up and everything, and Genie's just having fun, which is just, I'm perfectly fine with this. Let Robin Williams have fun, let the musicians have fun, give them a great fun song. We kind of got that with, A Friend Like Me, and then we get this again with Prince Ali. And they work their way through that and everything. And, Aladdin and Genie get inside, and I don't remember if Abu is the elephant gets inside too, but they all get inside after Jafar kind of, shoves all the extra stuff out, which, I mean, like, okay, Aladdin, the carpet, and Abu stay around. I would be a bit worried about, okay, where did everything else go? Because the rest of the time when he's Prince Ali, there's none of these guards around him. There's none of this other stuff. We have, like, Genie kind of pretending to be kind of his, announcer type thing, and then he vanishes. But, like, where'd everything else go? And was all that gold that, like, Aladdin threw to the people just kind of instantly vanished now? If the wish is kind of broken, but, like, if when Jafar kind of breaks the wish, is all that gold just going to vanish that, Aladdin gave to the people? Because, that gold was made by magic, so I don't know exactly how permanent that is. But, like, all that stuff vanishes. That's not really a point in the movie, but it's just, continuity thing. And, Aladdin lets the king fly around on the magic carpet, and then he's like, I'm here to, take your, accept your beautiful daughter's hand in marriage, or, And Jasmine comes in and basically glares Aladdin down, not knowing that it's Aladdin. Of course, she thinks he's Prince Ali, and she's just like, I will not be, I am not some prize to be won, and then storms off. And that results in, Aladdin, that night, the Sultan welcomes him to stay in the castle, of course, in the palace, of course. And that night, Aladdin is, it's like, he's sitting and talking with Genie and Abu and the carpet. And of course, we get the bit of, Genie versus the carpet playing chess, and he makes a move, or the carpet makes a really good move, and then Genie's like, that's a good move. And I think it's it's not Dennis Rodman, it's, frick, I know this one, comedian, he's like, I can't believe it, I'm losing to a rug, which, I just love all those different impressions that he throws in, because, yeah, he, like, changes into Schwarzenegger at some point, and he does, like, all these other impressions that he turns into, which is just funny and great, and, it breaks the fourth wall all over the place, but I don't care because he's Genie. The timelines are a bit screwed up anyway with Aladdin, so I'm okay with this, though. Because, like, in the third movie, he, like, references, like, Bob Hope and Bing Crosby and the Marx Brothers and, like, all this other stuff that technically hasn't existed yet. So, but it's just funny, so it's okay. But, I think he references the Marx Brothers in the first one, too, but I don't remember. Yes, I know who the Marx Brothers are. And I know who Bing Crosby and Bob Hope are. And Fred Astaire. I don't think he ever does a Fred Astaire reference, but I could be wrong. But, they get through all of that and everything, and, like, they're talking and everything, and Aladdin just like, I gotta go talk to Jasmine. And, gotta, make her, just, see if we can connect and everything. And Genie's like, okay, well, if you want to connect with her, tell her the truth. And Aladdin's like, well, I can't do that. I'm a prince now. If I tell her that I'm not a prince, then she's not gonna care. Like, Genie, this is not gonna go well. But, Aladdin flies up to her balcony on carpet, and her and Raja come out, and she's like, I've even heard the answer, how did you get on my balcony? I'm like 3 stories up in the air. How did you get on this balcony? Type thing. And, like, they're, they kind of argue a little bit, and then Aladdin, looks like he jumped off the balcony, and he's just, like, floating there on the rug. And we do get the lines where it's like Genie's whispering into Aladdin's ear about, things that you like about her. Blah, 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 blah. You're punctual. You're punctual. Punctual. Beautiful. Genie as a bee is adorable. And of course, there's the line, be yourself. Genie gets, knocked away and he flies off. But then, Aladdin, because him and Jasmine argue and everything. She's like, I'm not some prize to be won by some pampered, spoiled palace brat like you. And I love how she, continually does that. It's like, I'm not a prize. I love that. She, he, jumps off the balcony, walks onto the rug, and she's just like very confused about how he's not dead. And he, shows her the magic carpet, and then, they go for a ride, and then of course we get to the whole new world sequence where it's them, they fly throughout Egypt, and, they fly to the Middle East area, then they fly into Egypt, and then they fly into Greece, and, like, all over the place, and they still have, like, end up in, like, China or Japan or something. I'm like, there's a Hercules reference in this, there's a, there's a Hercules reference in there when they're in Greece. There's a, Mulan reference, even though I think this was like before Mulan and Hercules were even in the works. I actually don't remember what the next one is off the top of my head for the next Disney movie. Oh my god, how do I not know that? How do I not know that off the top of my head? I don't remember. Oh well, I'll double check. I'll check at some point, and I'll just double check and say, oh, it's this one's next. There's a lady in it, and a guy, and probably an animal, and a bad guy that has to be fought. That basically describes every Disney movie ever. Bad guy, girl, animal, God, good guy. Like, that's basically every Disney movie that's ever been made. Or the animated ones. Kind of, yeah, actually. Yeah. But, they go on the whole new world sequence, and then it results in, Jasmine and Aladdin having the conversation of, she kind of figures out that, I think you're the Aladdin that I met in the market. Or the guy that I met in the market. And he's like, I like to get out of the palace sometimes and see what's going on, and I kind of came ahead and kind of wanted to meet you first, and it's a coincidence, and blah 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 blah. And she kind of buys it, but I love carpet off to the side, like oh god, tassel rug, face tassel, whatever you want to call it, but. And then they fly back, and then that results in, Jasmine and him kiss on the balcony. And then she goes inside, and she's happy, and Aladdin, unfortunately, gets grabbed by the chief guard, Razul is his name, and the other guards, and, Abu's tied up, the carpet's tied up, Aladdin is kind of chained and gagged, and then thrown off a cliff. I'm like, I get that Jafar has influence over the guards, but wouldn't if it became to a visiting noble, wouldn't it make sense for them to want to get their exact answer as to what to do with him if they think he's a threat from the king? From the sultan? Not from the royal vizier, but I don't know. Razul and the other guards are... None of them are ever big fans of Aladdin anyway, but they don't know that it's Aladdin, which is a whole thing that Aladdin has to deal with throughout the second movie, the third movie, and this animated series and everything, so that's fun. But they work through that. But, Aladdin gets thrown off the cliff, and he's got, like, the ball and chain tied around him, and he's gagged, and he's, tied up, and, lands in the water. The lamp rolls out of his hat, and he goes, and he kind of rubs it wakes up Genie enough that he gets out, and, he kind of, it's like, I can't just save you from this, I can't just do this, and, it makes, Aladdin kind of have to use up his second wish, and then he rushes to the palace, Genie gets Aladdin out of there, so he's not going to drown, and then they rush off to the palace, where, Jafar is hypnotizing the Sultan into trying to make Jasmine marry him. and saying that, Prince Ali left, or Prince Abu, as, Jafar likes to call him, left. And then, Aladdin shows up, realizes it's the snake, smashes the snake staff, and Jafar sees the lamp in Aladdin's hat, Prince Ali's hat. And, Jafar vanishes, smoke bomb. Him and Iago end up running back down to their kind of hidden lair, where, they come up with the plan of, okay, I need that lamp. Now we know where the lamp is. Getting that lamp. More funny lines from Iago, which is just great. The way that they play off of each other. And Jasmine, picks to have Aladdin be her suitor, because, saved her father, she really likes him, and they seem like they'll be happy together. And then, of course, we have the next day where it's supposed to be like the big engagement announcement, and Aladdin should have freed the genie at this point in time. If he had freed the genie, we would be good. But he doesn't, because Aladdin needs to learn a lesson. And, so we get the whole big fight between him and Genie, and then Aladdin goes off, and Iago gets the lamp and takes it back to Jafar, and Aladdin and Jasmine are about to be, proclaimed as engaged to the people of Agrabah, but then that's when, Jafar shows up, and he uses the lamp to wish to have, Genie turn him into, of course, the Sultan. Which I'm like, magically doing that does not change hundreds to thousands of years of, legitimacy of the fact, if you're not the frickin' Sultan. And he was like, I'd like to rule on high as Sultan, and, Genie, lifts the castle and puts it up, up on high so he can rule, and I wouldn't want to be the people living in Agrabah for that short amount of time that Jafar is Sultan. And, and then he makes himself into the most powerful sorcerer with his second witch. And that results in him, sending Aladdin and the carpet and Abu off to somewhere cold. And, Raja gets turned into a toy cat. Jasmine kind of gets turned into a little bit of a slave with a red outfit. And, Sultan kind of gets turned into a toy for Iago. And that's not good by any of that. But, Aladdin and Abu and the carpet escape, and they make their way back to, Aladdin's like, I should have just freed the genie when I had the chance. Yes, you should have. And they head back to Agrabah, where, Jasmine is kind of being used as, slave servant girl to Jafar, is trying to say, well, why don't you just become my queen type of thing. And everything, Jasmine is so against this, so he's going to have Genie, make Jasmine fall in love with him. And Genie tries to explain, and of course I can't do that, but, Jafar doesn't listen. So, and that's when, Aladdin and the others show up, and Jasmine sees this, so she kind of plays along, like, okay, I guess I'll pretend like I like Jafar. So she pretends to, flirt with Jafar, and she ends up having to kiss him at some point, which I'm just like, oh. And I love everybody's reaction. Oh. Even Iago is like, oh, no. But then, Jafar sees that Aladdin's there, and Aladdin was trying to get the lamp, but that didn't work. And, traps Jasmine in a giant, hourglass, changes himself into a giant snake to try to fight Aladdin. And, the Cobra comes in again. Cobra. At least it's not a spitting cobra. It's not a spitting cobra. And then, of course, Aladdin uses the whole idea of, well, the genie is more powerful than you'll ever be. Because Jafar is kind of, the most powerful sorcerer in the world and everything. And that's when Aladdin's like, comes up with this plan. The genie's more powerful than you'll ever be. He gave you your power. He can take it away. And the genie's like, why are you bringing me into this? And then Jafar, because he doesn't realize the law, the rules of the genie, that you're bound to the lamp and everything. He's like, Genie, I wish for you to make me a genie. which of course results in, yeah, he has all the power of a genie, but he also has the laws of a genie. He can't kill, can't make anyone fall in love, can't bring anyone back from the life, or back from the dead. And he's bound inside of a lamp until someone rubs it. And, so he's, sucked inside of his lamp, phenomenal cosmic power. Big space. You thought I wasn't going to say it, didn't you? But I said it. And that results in, Jafar is trapped, Jasmine's freed, Raja's turned back into a normal thing, Abu is no longer a toy, Jafar is, well, gone, but, everything is put back to the way it's supposed to be. Everybody's happy. Everybody's happy. We're all good. And then, then we get the bit, and I'm glad they did it in this order for the way that they resolved everything as opposed to the other way around, because we have it where, of course, Aladdin wishes for Genie's freedom, and then of course he's freed, and that's when we then get where, the Sultan changes the law that the princess may marry whomever she wishes. Because if it had been the other way around, where it's the Sultan changes the law first and then Aladdin frees Genie, it's not like he's fully fulfilling his wish or his promise, because, he's still going to free the Genie, but he's not doing it because it's the right thing, and because he made the promise, and because he's making that choice over getting to become a prince, or getting to stay a prince. He's doing it because it's the right thing to do, because Genie's his friend, and because he made the promise. This way, it's, Aladdin then proved again that he is, a diamond in the rough. He will do the right thing. He freed Genie, and then the Sultan made the law change so Aladdin and Jasmine can be together, which I liked. Which I liked a lot. And of course, Genie's free, and Aladdin and Jasmine are going to get married. They're engaged, and everybody's happy. And Jafar's lamp gets thrown toward the Cave of Wonders. That's not going to come back to bite them in the ass at all, is it? No, not at all. And should have taken the lamp, wrapped it in an unbreakable barrier chain box thing of some kind, and then threw it into the Cave of Wonders. But Iago's trapped in the lamp too, so that would just be funny. Just make them have to spend however much time in the lamp. Don't know what that means. If you're inside the lamp, everything's immortal inside the lamp, so Iago would still be okay and be alive, and him and Jafar would still have to get along. Or if Iago would just eventually die, and then Jafar would be stuck with a dead parrot. Monty Python, anybody? But, then, Genie goes off to go and see the world, and Aladdin and Jasmine are fine. And then, of course, so much fun stuff. Slight bit behind the scenes. The songs, a bunch of the original songs for it were written by Howard Ashman and Alan Menken. They'd kind of been working on the idea, toying with the idea of Aladdin with Disney for a little bit while they were still doing Beauty and the Beast and Little Mermaid. So kind of all those were kind of in the pipeline at the same time. Aladdin had a different beginning. It was originally going to be, Aladdin wants to do all this so he can try to impress, so he can make his mom proud of him. But they kind of got rid of the mom because that just wasn't working, and Aladdin was a bit younger. But then when they finalized the design for Jasmine, they're like, yeah, no, this young kid is not going to work for Aladdin. So they made him a bit older and fit better. Voice cast. We have Scott Weiner as Aladdin, which he's been in other Disney things. I think the thing that I recognize him most for is he played Steve on Full House, where he plays DJ's boyfriend for a while throughout the course of the series, and I think he is on Fuller House now. Robin Williams, of course, as the Genie, Linda Larkin as Jasmine, Jonathan Freeman as Jafar, not way too much there. Frank Welker does Abu, Raja, and the Cave of Wonders. And, he's so many other things. Frank Welker is awesome and has been in so many things for Disney, for other animated things. We have Gilbert Gottfried as Iago. We have the songs of Arabian Nights by, Howard Ashman and Tim Rice. we have, and Tim Rice, because Howard Ashman died before they, of course, they got everything finished, of course, for Aladdin, for the songs and everything. So they then brought in Tim Rice, and that gives us, Tim Rice and Alan Menken working together. We have, the One Jump Ahead. We have Friend Like Me. We have Prince Ali. We have A Whole New World. So we have all those songs. Then we move into Return of Jafar, which came out in 1994. It was direct to DVD or direct to video release. I had the video. We are introduced to we're introduced to this new band of bandits, led by Abu Small, who is voiced by Jason Alexander. He and his crew get robbed by Aladdin, and Aladdin takes all the money and a bunch of other stuff and takes it back to Agrabah, and shares it with everyone and everything, and gives this beautiful jeweled flower to Jasmine as a gift, which of course Abu is not happy about. And so it's Jasmine and Aladdin are happy and everything, and they're not married yet, but they're very, very happy and everything. And there's going to be a big dinner that night between Jasmine and Aladdin and the Sultan and such. And then we see, meanwhile, out in the desert, Iago has dug himself out of, I'm assuming dug himself out of the Cave of Wonders or whatever, or dug himself out of wherever him and Jafar landed in the lamp, because Iago can get out of the lamp. I don't know if the whole thing of, if Iago rubbed the lamp, he would get 3 wishes or not, or if that only applies to humans. I don't know. But Iago goes and, he drops the Jafar's genie lamp into a well, and then he flies off to go to Agrabah, and I don't remember, but he has this song that he sings. There's I'm going to be back on top. I do not remember what the name of the song was. Unfortunately, I have that listed at the bottom of at the end of this part of the notes. But he sees Aladdin, and he kind of plays up on, Aladdin's sympathy, and, pretends that, no, I had been hypnotized by the snake staff, and, Jafar, manipulated me and everything. And, at some point, Aladdin and the others get attacked by, I think it's Abu Small and his group show up in Agrabah, and they end up attacking Aladdin, and Iago kind of helps them, so that kind of puts Aladdin in debt to Iago. So he then takes Iago back to the castle, and Abu Small and his group are kind of run out of, Agrabah again, which, consequences. And, Aladdin takes Iago back to the castle, or back to the palace, and he's like, well, I can't take you into the castle yet, and before I do that, I need to, talk to, Jasmine and the Sultan and everything. So, he kind of has Iago off to the side, and, puts him in a cage or whatever, so Iago can't fly away, or can't try to get into the palace. And then Genie shows back up, and he gets this big song of, and in this case, unfortunately, for the second movie and for the animated series and for Kingdom Hearts, Robin Williams did not voice Genie. There had been what he thought was a breach of contract between him and Disney in regards to how they used Genie's voice and everything in regards to promoting the film, that he thought was a breach of contract. So he is not in this. We have Dan Castellaneta as Genie for a fair amount of Genie stuff. And if you don't know who Dan Castellaneta is, go watch The Simpsons, because he is Homer Simpson. So that's just funny. It's we have Homer Simpson as the Genie. Yes. Okay. Somehow I'm okay with this, but he does a great job. Dan Castellaneta did a great job at it. Still got a lot of ad-lib stuff for him. Popping in and out of characters. And I forgot to mention this on the when I was talking just about the original one. The stylization of the movie is kind of based on, there's a lot of thick and thin lines that go in and out of each other. That is based on Arabic calligraphy and script and such. So they kind of based a lot of the different designs on that, and old Persian paintings and rugs and all these other things that they had that they were looking at for inspiration for it. But one of the other things that inspired it is when Genie goes into a lot of these different impressions that he does, there is an artist named Al Hirschfeld, who had been a cartoonist for the New York Times for a very long time, for the arts and leisure section. And he would do all these different celebrity cartoons of like these different celebrities and politicians and stuff like that as well. And Genie's impressions of these different people are based on that. I'll talk about a little bit more about Al Hirschfeld when I get to Fantasia 2000, because there's the Rhapsody in Blue sequence that they do there, which kind of takes is supposed to take place in, like, I think 1920s ish range, New York, and there's a lot of designs in that come from Al Hirschfeld. I think he actually makes a cameo in it, but that's kind of where that came from for like Disney. Genie's impressions kind of come from based on those cartoons. But back to the Return of Jafar. So it's, Genie is like saying about, it's like, I've been all over the world, I saw all this stuff and everything, but no, nothing compares to being here with my real friends, with, Jasmine and Aladdin the monkey and everything. And so then, Genie is, welcomed to stay by Jasmine and Aladdin and everything, and, they go off to the dinner, and Iago is left being guarded by Abu, which results in issues because Iago tries to trick Abu into letting him out of the cage, and, then Abu tries to, kind of torture Iago with Raja, and that doesn't work. But, Iago does end up getting into the palace, and what it was the Sultan was going to ask Aladdin to become his new royal vizier, was what the dinner was going to be about. And, Genie, gets very interested in that and everything, and gets very proud of Aladdin and everything, so it, gives Aladdin more of a title than just Aladdin that the princess likes, that was a straight rat and helped save everybody. But Iago unfortunately gets into the palace, and that results in a lot of big argument blow up between Aladdin and Jasmine and the Sultan and everything, because Aladdin tries to protect Iago and tries to stand up for him, but then, he's like, well, he's helped save me and everything, and blah, 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 and that results in a big blow up between him and Jasmine and the Sultan. And Aladdin feels very bad, and he goes off, and Jasmine, of course, angry, and she storms off. Meanwhile, out in the desert, Abu Small and his men end up finding a well, and that unfortunately ends up resulting in Abu Small pulling up a bucket that has the lamp in it. That is Jafar's lamp. And he rubs the lamp, and he gets Jafar as his genie. And they both find out that they have a vendetta against Aladdin. And, Jafar and Abu Small, kind of make this deal of, we'll do, Jafar's like, I'll help you get what you want. We'll both get revenge on Aladdin, and I will get what I want, type thing. So they start working together. I don't remember 100% if, Jafar does get a song in this one. He had originally had a song in the first movie, but that got cut. But he gets a song in this one where he's like singing about, singing to Abu Small, but like all this other stuff that he can do as a genie and everything. It's like, I can give you this and I can give you this, but you just have to help me, type thing. Which, you get to hear Jonathan Freeman sing, which he does a great job of in this. We also get to hear kind of like Gilbert Gottfried sing as Iago in this one as well, which is just weird. Gilbert Gottfried did a great job as Iago. He was so good as Iago, and I think he's voiced Iago in most of the stuff that they've done for Disney. He's at least Iago through all three of the movies. I think he did him in the animated series too. I don't remember if he voices Iago throughout the 2 Kingdom Hearts games or not. I don't remember off the top of my head. I know he's not Iago in the live action one that they did, but I don't remember if they have him be Iago in Kingdom Hearts or not off the top of my head. But so Jafar and Abu Small come to this agreement. If you kill Aladdin, because I can't do that, that's outside of the rules of what I can do as a genie, then I will give you all of this wealth and everything that you can ever desire, and then you will use your wish to set me, use your last wish to set me free from the lamp, because then Jafar can go and then do whatever he wants anyway, and he's immortal as a genie. Well, he's immortal as a genie. It's never stated if it's like he's immortal as a genie as long as his lamp is still intact. Well, when he's attached to the lamp, he's immortal as long as the lamp is still intact. But if he's freed from the lamp, I don't remember if it's ever stated if, like, what's your genie? If you're freed from the lamp, do you have a certain amount of time frame before you die? Because Genie in the animated stuff still has, his semi-phenomenal, nearly cosmic power throughout the second movie, the third movie, the animated series, and such. Because he helps a lot with a lot of different things like that, and he has a lot of knowledge about magic, which is very helpful for all the different people that they have to fight. But I don't remember if they ever state that, oh, now if Genie's lamp gets destroyed, even though, he doesn't have to go into it, but I think he still kind of sleeps in the lamp. If Genie's lamp is ever destroyed, now that he's free from it, is he still going to get destroyed with the lamps? But he's no longer bound to it, so I don't know. But then we get where Jafar and Iago, well, not Jafar, Genie and Iago, well, Genie kind of guilts Iago into helping him, into getting Aladdin and Jasmine kind of back together. And, so it's kind of Aladdin, or Iago kind of doing reverse psychology a little bit on, it was like, yeah, how dare he, I saved his life, how dare I do that, blah, 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 just trying to, get Jasmine to, remember how much she liked, how much she cared about Aladdin and everything, which, it's not like they're broken up or anything like that, it's just they had a big fight type thing. But, so Genie kind of, gets Iago to help him with getting Jasmine and Aladdin back together, which works out, and they get back together, and it's just, a fun little love song that we get between the two of them, and that works great. And the lady that did the singing voice for Jasmine, Laya, one second, I do have it written down, because I had it written down in my notes. The lady that sings for Jasmine is Leah Salonga, who also, I think, provided the singing voice for Mulan in the animated stuff. And then Brad Kane provided the singing voice for Aladdin, because Scott Miner can't sing. Because it was not uncommon for Disney to have oh, well, you can do the acting and everything, but you can't really sing, so we're not going to have you sing in the movie, but well, you won't, there's songs in the movie, but we're not going to have you provide the voice for the singers. We'll find someone that can do like the same range that you talk in, that can provide the singing voice for what would be for Aladdin and Jasmine and everything. So that works. And Aladdin, as a way of trying to, Iago is now welcome into the castle, as he's one of Aladdin's friends now and everything. And him and Iago and Genie and Carpet and Abu all kind of are hanging out at one point in time. And so, they're playing pool, and the ball gets stuck in Iago's beak, and that's just a funny bit that happens. And then, Iago ends up being alone at one point, and that's when Jafar shows up. And he's like, so you've ingratiated yourself to our former enemies. Basically gets Iago, okay, you're going to help me do this. And Iago, is kind of forced by Jafar to go and tell Aladdin that, it was like, okay, well, I think I have an idea for how you and the Sultan can, patch things up. It's just, a great place that we can go and have a picnic, just you, me, and the Sultan, and that works, and they go off. It's a trap, of course. But then we get another song for Jafar to sing, which results in him trapping Aladdin or not Aladdin, he traps Genie and the magic carpet. Magic carpet gets like chains around him, and the Genie gets trapped in this, like anti-magic globe type thing that he can't get out of, because he's not as strong as he was when he was connected to the lamp, but he can't get out of it, so he's trapped. And then we have Abu Small and his group attack Aladdin and the Sultan gets kidnapped, and Aladdin eventually makes his way back to, Abu gets taken as well by, gets kidnapped as well by Jafar. And then the carpet went with Aladdin, and the carpet gets trapped too. But it's supposed to be, Jafar is going to use his, magic mimicry to be able to, get Aladdin charged with killing the Sultan. Aladdin gets back to the castle after he's been, separated from Carpet and Iago, and Aladdin gets arrested because, everybody thinks that he killed the Sultan, because he was the last one with the Sultan, and then, they had found, because he's living in the palace at this point, and they had found, or Aladdin's living in the palace, and they found like the Sultan's hat and a dagger in Aladdin's room, and Jasmine's there and she's accusing him, and then he's like, he will die at sunset or whatever the case may be, and then Aladdin's supposed to get executed, and then it's revealed that that Jasmine was Jafar, and that he has Jasmine and the Sultan and Genie and Abu and the carpet all trapped down in the dungeon. And he has Abu Small, and after Aladdin gets executed, then he's gonna give Abu Small all this riches and everything, and put him in charge of Agrabah or whatever the case may be. And then Abu Small is supposed to use his wish to set Genie free, or to set Jafar free. So he's trying to so we get Jafar giving Abu Small these different sunken treasures and giant jewels, and all the type of stuff that is what Abu Small wants. And then down in the dungeon, because it's kind of a things are happening at the same time. Well, they're not in the throne room yet, but Iago is he picks up the orb thing that Genie's in, and he keeps trying to drop it to get it to shatter. And so he keeps flying higher and higher and trying to drop it more and more. And Jasmine's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "I'm trying to save the chump Genie so you can go and save your chump boyfriend," type thing. And and at this point, Aladdin's being he's chained, and he's being taken by the guards to go and be executed. And fake Jasmine shows up at the execution to say goodbye to Aladdin, and Jafar flashes his face as Jafar to Aladdin, so Aladdin knows that this is Jafar that's doing this. And then Aladdin gets the bag over his head, and he's about to have his head chopped off, and that's when things line up exactly, and Iago is able to get the glass orb to smash that Genie's trapped in. Genie escapes, saves Aladdin, gets everybody else out of their trapping, their shackles and everything, and then they're all safe. And then they gotta go fight Jafar, and that's when Jafar is trying to give gives Aladdin all this other stuff, or trying to give Abu Small all this other stuff, but they're the others are free. And then Aladdin and Jasmine and the others are trying to sneak their way into the castle, so they can get Jafar's lamp, and then they can destroy it, because it's like Genie's like, the lamp, you destroy Jafar's lamp, you destroy Jafar. And they manage to get the lamp, and through all this other stuff, and like Jafar turns into this giant genie form, and he's trying to fight them and everything, and he can't directly kill them, so he ends up opening this like giant pit of lava in the castle, and he's trying to use that to knock them into the pit. And Iago is helping them. Aladdin was about ready to strangle Iago, because Iago kind of betrayed him, and then Aladdin's like, no, Iago saved us, he helped us, he saved Genie, so he saved you, type thing. And then Aladdin's like, "He did? Yeah, okay." And so then Iago helps them try to fight Jafar, and Jasmine's there, and she's helping, and so we get this big battle type thing. The Sultan is kind of off to the side. I think Raja is kind of off to the side too, Raja was kind of trapped too, because he would know the difference between a fake Jasmine and a real Jasmine. And apparently the guards don't pay any attention to the fact of, maybe we should double check that this actually is the princess, or double check why there's weird things going on. Because, like, the guards are stupid in this. The guards that they have in this are very, very stupid. But they managed to, get Jafar's lamp, and on some point, everybody's, all in, various points of peril. And Aladdin Iago was the last one with the lamp, and he's kind of, stuck. He was badly hurt by Jafar. And he's like laying there on this rock or whatever outcropping that's right over the lava, and he's got the lamp next to him. Like, all the others are, various states of peril, ready to fall into the lava or be killed. Magma. Lava is what it is when it's under the earth. Magma is what it is when it's on top. Sorry. And Iago, manages to kick his foot just enough to drop the lamp, to knock the lamp into the lava, into the magma, where the lamp is liquefied, melted, blah, 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 blah. And that results in Jafar dying, because if you're a genie that's still bound to your lamp and your lamp is destroyed, then you are destroyed. And he's gone. Everything else turns back to normal. They all kind of think Iago's dead, but then, no, Iago's fine. He'll be fine. And Iago is, now one of Aladdin's palace pals. And the end of the movie basically results in, Jasmine and Aladdin, they still want to go on all these other adventures, or Aladdin still wants to go on all these other adventures. And Jasmine's like, well, you're not going without me. So, they're going to go off together and do that. Have all these adventures, which leads into the animated series where they fight all these different evil sorcerers, evil sorceresses. There's another genie that I think Genie falls in love with. There's like all this other stuff that they have to deal with. And at one point, they meet Hercules from Hercules animated series, which does actually take place during the Hercules animated series, not the Aladdin animated series. But they meet Hercules because Aladdin and Jafar kind of trade at one point, because Jafar is like, well, I could find a way to take care of your stupid little Hercules problem. And Genie and Hades is like, really? Well, you're little Aladdin. I'm a god. That shouldn't take too much to deal with. So they like trade, and then they try to make Hercules and Aladdin kind of take each other out, but that doesn't happen. But then they end up working together. So a fun thing there. And pretty much everybody returned for their roles, except for, as I said, Robin Williams didn't return, but they had Dan Castellaneta. We had Jason Alexander as Abu Small. Not too much there. The songs for it, we had a reprise of Arabian Nights, and then we have I'm Looking Out for Me, which is Iago's song when he gets back to Agrabah, about him. I'm just gonna look out for me. And then we get Nothing in the World Quite Like a Friend, which is Genie's song when he gets, reunited with Jasmine and Aladdin. And then we have Forget About Love, which is when when Genie and Iago are trying to get Jasmine and Aladdin back together. And then You're Only Second Rate, is when Jafar is trapping the Genie and Abu using his magic and everything. He kind of like tortures them a little bit and then gets them trapped. So Jafar only has one song in this. I thought that he had two, so I was wrong. He just kind of explains his magic to Abu Small at some when he first meets Abu Small. It's not singing. So sorry about that. Okay, then we have Aladdin, the King of Thieves, which came out in 1996. Which the animated series ran from, I think, 1994 to into 1996 or so for the animated series. So it kind of covers the distance in between the second and the third movie. And, so it's Aladdin and Jasmine are finally getting married, is, what the first song is basically, is, they're finally getting married. And, that's fun. And, so it's Aladdin and Jasmine, and like the whole Agrabah is singing and everything about they're finally getting married, and everybody's happy about it. Well, most people are happy about it. The head guard, Razul, is not very happy about it, but everybody else is happy about it. And then we get this moment where Genie goes and he sees Aladdin in the place where him and Abu used to live. And Aladdin pulls out this box, and inside the box is a dagger. And Genie's like, okay, what's with the dagger? And Aladdin's like, it belonged to my father. My father gave it to my mother before he left or whatever, and then, she gave it to me. It was like the only thing of value that Aladdin kind of had. And given the fact, in the original movie, we don't know anything about his parents. We're assuming that he's an orphan because he's a street rat and everything. Agrabah kind of seems to be doing better at this point in time, because I think a lot of the times throughout the course of the series, Aladdin finds different treasures and such, and he'll like bring gold back to Agrabah, and he'll give it to the people and such. So a lot of people in the city are, of course, very happy about Jasmine and Aladdin being together. But then we have, so Aladdin's going to have the dagger at his wedding, and he, because he's going to wear it at his wedding, because I guess some form of a tradition, and I don't know 100% about different things in Middle East tradition. I could be wrong on that, but he's at least going to wear it because it's, his piece that he has it's something that he has from his father. And as far as he's aware, his father's dead. His father left at one point when Aladdin was a kid, and then at some point Aladdin's mother died, and then he was left to fend for himself. That's basically the backstory that we get for Aladdin. But Aladdin and everybody, they all get to the palace, they're all ready. Genie does this great bit, and Robin Williams returned to do Genie for this, for the third movie, because they Disney apologized for what he thought was a breach of contract, so now, he was perfectly fine coming back to play Genie for the final movie. And we have this great bit where he's like interviewing guests that come for the wedding, and I love this bit because it's so funny. It's like, there's Cleopatra and Caesar, and they're bringing a salad, and like all this other stuff. The crowd is parting. It's Moses, and what was the other one? Who are you? Well, I'm Thor. You're Thor? Well, it hurts, and it's supposed to be, bad joke and everything. His references to other things throughout, references to other jokes throughout history and other things. He's supposed to be like an interviewer on a red carpet type of a thing for guests going into the wedding, which is just, I just find that so funny. And, when you're a kid, you don't necessarily get it, but it's, some adult stuff that's in there for the adults to go, ha, 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 Caesar salad, yeah, and, just like all this other stuff. And, so Genie does that, and then, Aladdin is, all ready for the wedding, and Jasmine and him are ready to walk down the aisle, and, Jasmine is so beautiful. Jasmine's always pretty. I know at some point, I think throughout the course of the animated series, I think Jasmine got cursed a couple of times. For some reason, I think there was a time where she got turned into a cat, like a panther hybrid type thing, but I don't remember. I don't remember if that was real or if that was fan art that I saw. So I'm not sure. I saw a lot of great fan arts of like Jasmine in different outfits and everything that are based on her different outfits that she wears throughout the course of the movies and the series and such. Usually she's just in her typical, blue outfit, but other times she's in a pink outfit or a purple outfit. Throughout the wedding movie, she's in a pink outfit a bit, and I think she's also in a blue outfit at some point. Throughout the different movies, which is nice. Puts her in a few different arrays of outfits. But then the wedding is attacked because elephants come storming in. And we are introduced to the 40 Thieves, the King of Thieves and the 40 Thieves, which is a reference to, I think it's Alibaba and the 40 Thieves. The cave that opens with, open sesame. And such. So that's another reference there to Arabian Nights. And I do think throughout the course of the animated series, there's other references to Arabian Nights, which is, I think, is a good idea. I mean, it's because, I don't know, what's that? And then, they look up other mythology, which is good. It's one of the reasons why I have that book, where it talks about other things. But they go through a lot of that. And then, the castle is attacked and everything, and, they fight off all the different bandits and everything. A lot of the guests get stuff stolen from them. You know, the king of thieves seemed to be looking for something very specific. He was trying to find this scepter, because apparently you can ask it a question, but we don't know that at this point in time. And he's fighting Aladdin, and he sees the dagger that Aladdin has, and that gets him distracted, and then he, calls for a retreat, and him and his men leave. And then they're like, why, and then like Jasmine and Aladdin and the, Sultan and Genie and Iago and everyone are trying to figure out, well, what was all of this about? Were they after the gifts? And, no, just this scepter type thing. And they, Iago's like, well, why would they want this old thing? And then a spirit comes out of it. The spirit of the scepter comes out. She's this all-knowing type being, and she's like, because I could tell them how to find, the ultimate treasure and everything is why he wanted me. But I can, you can ask, only one question. It's like with the genies, there's, the 3 wishes in Aladdin. And this, there's one, you can ask the scepter one question. Everyone can ask the scepter one question. And Aladdin and the others are like, okay then. And I think the scepter is kind of trying to point Aladdin down a certain path, because she makes a comment of, well, wouldn't you like to know about your father? Or whatever the case may be. And she like shows him a picture of his father, which I'm assuming Aladdin has some idea of what his father looked like. Because he always thought that his father was dead. So I don't know if like Aladdin had, I don't remember if it was Aladdin, I don't remember if they say specifically if Aladdin was like a little kid when his dad left, or if he was a baby when his dad left. I don't remember. But Aladdin is like, he's like trying to decide if he wants to ask this question. Ask the question of, where his father is. And, the scepter just kind of goes back to sleep for a little while. And he's just, he goes off and he goes back to the ruined house where he lived for a long time. And he's just like, well, he's like trying to think, do I want to do this? Do I not want to do this? And Jasmine and the others find him. It's not like he's hiding. But they find him, and she kind of encourages him to, he's like, well, I always wanted to know. I always wondered what, where my father was, or, what he was like. And she's like, well, now you have the chance to find out. So, why don't you, go and find out? I mean, I'll be here waiting for you as long as it takes, type thing. Because she understands. I mean, like a lot of the adventures she went on with Aladdin, but I think this is something she realizes that he has to do on his own. And Aladdin, Genie's kind of in charge of getting the castle back up to where it's supposed to be, getting, everything all rebuilt and everything for the wedding, so it's all ready. Because, Jasmine and Aladdin very much want to get married, and the Sultan wants them to get married because he very much likes Aladdin, of course, at this point in time. But, so Jasmine basically convinces him, there's like this song that happens and everything, and Jasmine basically convinces him of, go and find your father. I'll wait here, and you can go do that, and then I'll wait here for you to come back. And, when he asks the scepter where where his father is, and she's like, he's trapped within the realm of the 40 thieves, and has been there for a long time, and he's trapped within their world. And she, tells him how to find them, how to follow the 40 thieves, and he goes off to go and find them. And that's where they go. Aladdin and Iago and the carpet and Abu head off to go and follow the 40 thieves. And they do, and that's where, the caves, their hideout is, the cave, that opens with open sesame. And, Aladdin and the others, sneak inside behind them, and then, they listen to they argue and everything. And Aladdin ends up learning that oh, Kasim, because he's heard his father's name before. Kasim was his father. And he sees that his father is the king of thieves, the ruler of them, their leader. And, there's his right-hand man, or Kasim's right-hand man, Saluk, who's right away not a good person. He's bad. Some of the thieves are worse than others, but he's the worst one. And he was, kind of challenging Saluk. So like, are you really still going to be our ruler, or king of thieves, and everything? You still have it in you, and that's, Aladdin stops him from attacking him, and he, gets revealed that, oh, you're my son and everything, and he had, so Kasim identifies him because Aladdin has the dagger, and then we get the whole, Aladdin gets the whole explanation of, well, I'm the king of thieves, and yeah, I've been here for a while and everything. Aladdin goes through the challenge where he has to fight Saluk. I'm assuming the challenge is, you fight one of the current members of it, and if you either defeat them or match them, then you can stay, or it's probably you defeat them, so there's still 40 thieves. And Aladdin has to fight Saluk, and Aladdin does win, and then Aladdin is welcomed into the 40 thieves, and we get the song "Welcome to the 40 Thieves," which is kind of a gag song, but also has some dark undertones and everything. And then Kasim takes Aladdin down to this hidden area that not even his men know how to get to. And Aladdin learns that his father has been trying to find this treasure, this very specific treasure, for a while now, that is supposed to be able to give them anything that they want. And it's called the Hand of Midas. And he needs the scepter so that way he can find the Hand of Midas, because then anything that it touches is instantly transformed into gold. So, to play off on the whole, mythology of, Greek mythology of, Midas was a king who wished to have, the golden touch, and he could, touch anything and it would turn to gold. Because, that's always a great idea to have. But they go through that, and Aladdin's like, well, just, you don't have to do this anymore. You can come back to Agrabah. You can meet Jasmine. You can meet the Sultan. I really want you to meet the Jasmine, because I'm going to marry her and everything. And, Kasim decides to go. He finds out that the scepter is still there. Kind of Iago kind of convinces him to go. Between Iago and Aladdin, they kind of convince him to go. And they work their way back to Agrabah. Kasim doesn't like riding the magic carpet. He likes riding on horses instead. So they ride back to Agrabah, where then Kasim is introduced to Genie. Oh, God. And, Kasim is introduced to Genie, and they go through all this, and Kasim gets a makeover, so he's no longer, dressed like the king of the 40 thieves. And Aladdin's like, it doesn't matter, it's like, your father, here you're not the king of things, here you're my father. And what ends up happening is Aladdin and does to get the whole big musical number between Genie and them and everything. I don't remember what the song is exactly, but or what the name of the song is. I'll have that listed, I think, at the bottom. But they work through all of that and everything, and then we get Aladdin introduces Kasim to Jasmine, and apparently earlier it explained that Saluk did not die when he fought Aladdin. He ended up making his way back to Agrabah, where he basically bribed Rasul, who's the head of the guard, into saying, I can tell you how to find the King of Thieves and his son Aladdin, and, I can tell you where you can go, and you can get him and everything, and you'll be a hero. And so Saluk sends Rasul and the guards to, where the cave was, tells them how to get inside. They arrest everyone that's inside. Most everyone that's inside. There's a few thieves that don't get arrested. But Saluk is, angry because Aladdin and Kasim were not two of the ones that were arrested. or not two of the ones that were all arrested. They're still out there, and and he finds, he learns that, oh, Jasmine and Aladdin, the wedding's back on and everything, and they were gonna get married and everything. They're still gonna get married, and Kasim and Iago are trying to sneak into the palace vault to try to steal the oracle scepter. They get caught, and Kasim is thrown in jail. It's revealed that, Aladdin's father is the king of thieves. And that night, Aladdin ends up putting on Kasim's clothes and sneaks into the dungeons, releases Kasim, says, "You go, I'll keep them distracted." And Kasim tries to convince him to come with him, and Aladdin's like, "No, I'm not abandoning Jasmine the way that you abandoned my mom. I'm not leaving her. I will pay whatever price, but I'm not abandoning her." And that works. Well, Kasim escapes, and Iago goes with him, and then they end up back at the cave where Saluk has rallied the remaining thieves, and they kind of capture Kasim, and they take him to go and take them to where the Vanishing Isle is, which is a giant turtle, which is where the Hand of Midas is. And Kasim and Iago are prisoner, and Iago escapes, and he flies back to Agrabah, where he tells Jasmine, where Aladdin is basically saying, or Aladdin tells the Sultan, "I will take whatever punishment you want to give me. I did help my father escape and everything." And Rasul wants Aladdin to be punished, of course, because Rasul is still angry about the fact that the street rat managed to get to being the one that's going to marry the princess and everything, because Rasul is just kind of a jerk throughout the entire series. And Genie, between Jasmine and Genie, they remind the Sultan that that Aladdin was just trying to protect his father, and the Sultan relents, and they get, the Sultan relents, and he's going to, kind of pardon Aladdin, and that's when Iago shows up, and was like, "Saluk, not dead. Has Kasim. Going to the Vanishing Isle. Help!" type thing. And so, Aladdin, Genie, Abu, and Iago and the magic carpet all head off, and Kasim asks the oracle how to find the Vanishing Isle, and they find it. It's on the back of this giant turtle, as I said. And Aladdin and Kasim end up making their way inside. Everybody else is, it's searching the isle and everything. And Aladdin and Kasim end up making their way inside. Jasmine and Iago and Abu and Genie are kind of handling a bunch of the other miscellaneous thieves that are still out there, which just lets Jasmine be cool and Genie have fun. And the reason that the Vanishing Isle never appears in the same place twice, as I said, is because it's on the back of a giant freaking turtle. And Aladdin and Kasim make their way inside. Saluk follows them. They find the Hand of Midas, and it's on this big giant, it's a statue with the hand standing on this giant, floating hand that's just floating in the middle of this room. And you have to get to it, and you get the, you have to get to the hand, and you get the sculpture, you get the hand, and they wrap it up so that way, it's not going to touch everything so easily. And, Kasim and Aladdin are a bit having fun, and then, the whole point of the thing is Kasim has to pick between Aladdin and the Hand of Midas, because Saluk shows up, and he's about to, he's like, he's got like he has like Wolverine claws that he like has pointed at Aladdin's neck, and he's like, give me the Hand of Midas, Kasim, and your son lives. And Kasim kind of has to choose between Aladdin and this treasure that he's been working towards all his life. And he's like, I'm gonna choose my real treasure, my son. Which is, lessons and fun, and throws the hand to Saluk, who's not paying attention, and ends up touching the hand itself, and he starts to turn into gold, and he turns into a gold statue, which is how Saluk dies. And Aladdin escapes, and the hand, unfortunately, the Hand of Midas falls to the bottom of the castle type thing, and it starts turning everything into gold, including the water, and everything else gets start turning into gold, which of course makes it sink faster. And Saluk and Aladdin are trying to escape and everything, and Genie and others show up and save them, and the island sinks with a bunch of the thieves on it. And, that goes really fun. And, everything turns to gold around them. And I don't know if that means that the turtle turned to gold, or now the turtle is going to die, or if the Vanishing Isle is going to keep appearing. I don't know. But then we cut back to the castle where it is finally time for the wedding, and Aladdin and Jasmine are married, and everybody's happy. And Kasim kind of risked sneaking in so he could see the wedding, and then him and Iago leave. And they kind of tie up the peddler at the end of this movie. Kasim and Iago left, go once again see the world and everything, and probably try to steal more things, because that's what they do. And Aladdin and Jasmine head off on their honeymoon, but Aladdin and Jasmine fly past the peddler from the beginning, from the very first movie, from the beginning of the first movie, and he ends up, trying to, tries to sell them a rug and everything like that, and then they head off, and he's the one that gave the legend. And, they're all, the peddler's kind of the one that's telling this tale. He travels and tells more people the legends of Aladdin and all of his friends. And I don't remember if it's supposed to be a loop around that Genie is the, I don't know if it's supposed to loop around that, like, Genie is actually the peddler, but I think that's what's implied. Songs throughout the movie. There's a party here in Agrabah, which is, Aladdin and Jasmine are finally getting married, everything like that. There's brief places all around it that show, everybody happy and everything. And then there's the Out of Thin Air, which is where Aladdin is singing about, it's like, I know that I didn't appear out of thin air because, I had a mother and I had a father. And, they're, Aladdin and Jasmine, Jasmine is convincing Aladdin that, yes, you should go and find your father. And that's what we have for that. And there's a Welcome to the 40 Thieves song, which is, Aladdin's introduction. As I said, it's kind of a, funny thing that they do. Father and Son, which is, Genie, Kasim, and Aladdin, Genie getting Kasim and Aladdin all ready to go and see Jasmine and the Sultan, and, them having fun, and, talking about all these fun stuff that they can do. And then there's the song Are You In or Out, which Saluk sings to the other 40 thieves, or the remaining thieves, about, are you in or out when it comes to, being a 40 thieves, being a member of this group. And then, the end song is, a reprise of Arabian Nights. I like the way that they wrap up Aladdin. I cannot remember if the Hercules the Hercules one, it takes place in the Hercules series. So I think chronologically it takes place after Jasmine and Aladdin are married. But I don't remember exactly if it's supposed to take place where exactly in the timeline beyond that. Like, I don't know if it's like a couple of years after they're married or whatever. And of course, there's not a whole lot with Jasmine and Aladdin in regards to the, like with Ariel, like she had a kid, and, it's implied that, at some point, Aladdin is proclaimed Sultan when either the Sultan abdicates and then him and Jasmine, and then Aladdin and Jasmine become the rulers, or, the Sultan dies and then they become the rulers. And then, they probably still go on some adventures and protect Agrabah, and they still have, Genie, and maybe at some point Iago and Kasim return. And, Kasim maybe gets to see his grandkids, maybe. I don't know. That's about where that ends. But yeah, this will be a two-parter. So the other part of this will be the Kingdom Hearts stuff and the live action stuff. So, or Kingdom Hearts, other miscellaneous, and then live action. So that's what I got for you on this one. I thank you very much for watching. And I'm actually just going to go and basically start recording the other half of this. But, you know, thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a nice rest of your day, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Bye! You remember my mother used to say, we would only ever be as happy as our least happy subject. If she saw what I saw today, she would be heartbroken.